Bridie, all my life I always wanted to be an attorney. And this show that we're going to be doing, Heels of Justice, makes me feel like I'm in charge.
I always wanted to be a psychotherapist, but I took the long way. It took me 40 years to get there.
But you made it.
Yes.
You know, working with the incarcerated population makes me feel, I'm so fulfilled because I'm empowering the inmates. I'm giving them the attention that they don't get on a regular. I'm giving them hope. And it's just a good feeling all around to be able to be in their environment for that 1 hour, 3 times a week, and give them hope. Mm-hmm.
And on Heels of Justice, our new program that we will be airing second Monday of each month, stay tuned, we'll be highlighting what goes on inside those walls. So,
I feel so comfortable and so safe. Even when I was working at Rikers Island, I just feel like that's where I belong.
Alicia and I clicked like two sisters from another mother, and it became love at first sight, and we automatically felt a level of comfort that I'd never felt with anyone before. I knew from the moment I met you that it was special. Okay.
We've got COs that are interested in coming on board. We have ex-inmates interested in coming on board, being a guest. We'll have a telephone here. Lines will be open for any call-ins.
Oh, that would be great. That would really be great. Because really what has to happen is there needs to be a change in our system today, in our incarceration system, and in our legal system in general. Because from the time and the moment that our young people step out of the house, they're basically in danger of being sort of almost like taken from us. Hi, my name is Bridie and I'm the host of Heels of Justice. I'm here with Camille Serrano, who is a teacher and a retired correctional officer. Welcome, Camille.
Thank you for having me, Bridie.
Thank you for coming. So we are here today to discuss a few things. First of all, you were in a field that is not typical for a female, which is a correctional officer in a very male-oriented profession. And today we are discussing the Me Too movement, and we'd like to talk about how the Me Too movement has affected you, and as a correctional officer, what your experiences were, and especially during a time when there was no one to talk to if there was anything such as sexual harassment going on. Did you have any type of experiences when this, this type of thing happened?
When I first joined the Department of Corrections, I joined because I was a single parent. So I knew there would be some things that I had to get through, obstacles. So you're right, you didn't have too many people to talk to. But for me, it was empowering because every time someone tells me I can't, it gives me that push to do. So I went into the Department of Corrections looking for a better job and benefits. And I was, at first I thought I'd only be there for a couple of months.
How old were you when
Oh my gosh, I was 22.
So you're a 22-year-old girl, and what decade are we talking about?
Oh, we're talking about the 80s. It was 1985.
Wow, so there you are, 22 years old, a young, pretty girl, right, in an all-male dominated society. And did you have an experience?
I did.
What happened?
I remember walking into the jail for the first time, and there were lines of officers on two sides, all male. And as my class walked down the hallway, you would have male officers saying, "Oh, that one's mine. That one's mine." And they were referring to the women in the class that were cute or who they would allow in their space. And I said to myself, okay, I can see where this is going. I didn't expect that because I thought we were all adults, but that adolescence,
yes,
comes out in both men and women, I gotta say, because some women did play into it. And then I was there for business. I had 2 children at home that I had to sacrifice for. I wouldn't have been there otherwise, but it worked out in my favor in the end. But as far as the experience getting to where I actually decided I was going to stay.
How long were you at this position?
Well, I was a correction officer for 13 years, and then I put in for a transfer to the investigations unit and became an investigator. So now I had an investigator status, and we would train with police officers and detectives, and I'm thankful for that because it molded me.
And what were you investigating exactly?
Oh my goodness. Cases inside the jail, outside the jail, supervisors, inmates, anything that came up.
Did you find yourself in any compromising positions where you were not knowing if you should reveal?
There were times that you found yourself in very etchy situations.
And how did you handle that?
Well, you're with a team. You're never in the street alone.
Okay.
So you're with a team, and issues come up. I can recall one time they sent us to, I think it was Red Hook, Brooklyn. The Department of
wow.
Yeah. The Department of Corrections will send you out into the street sometimes to find people who were released before their time.
When you say released before their time, you mean before?
I'm talking erroneous discharges or situations where, because we're all human. We're all human, and in any agency, you're going to find errors of many different multitudes, I should say. If you have an instance where someone leaves the jail and they weren't supposed to leave, well, my team would go out and find them.
Okay, all right.
And a couple of times it was kind of compromising, especially if there's a female. If it's a female, you must send female officers or investigators to assist, because problems come up, and
So we were talking about, here we are, 2018 in the Me Too movement, and women are coming up in the ranks, and certainly now with more authority. Now we have found our voices. We're basically screaming, silent screaming is going on in our heads, but now it's actually being heard. And I understand that you're writing a book.
I am writing a book, but my book has more to do with politics and America, and just common decency.
Okay, well, Me Too is about common decency.
It is. It is.
And policy also has to do with sexual harassment. And
yes, it
the
does.
Politics of our country, whether you're Republican, Democrat, progressive, doesn't really matter. Human decency comes in all shapes and sizes. So tell us a little bit, what is the name of your book? Because you're a woman writing a book, that you're a teacher, you're an author, you were a correctional officer. There's so much about you. There's so many facets to you. So I'm very intrigued that you're writing a book about policy.
And just common decency. My most important title, the most important of all my titles, is mom.
I'll agree to that.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say, the name of my book, I can spell it for you. It's in Russian.
Okay, so
because I want to make sure that our administration can read the title.
Okay.
So I have purposely put the title in Russian, and it says never.
Okay. And by saying never, you never what? Like, actually, this is interesting, because Me Too is about saying never. We don't want our daughters, our sisters, we don't want them ever to go through what we've had to have gone through, which is sexual harassment,
Right.
dealing with not having equal pay for equal jobs. Why don't you tell me a little
And
bit?
yes, you're right, because as a correction officer, a lot of men would say, well, why is she getting paid the same? Well, the fact of the matter is, I would never take something. I always try to perform optimally. So if I'm getting paid to do the same job as you can bet your life I'm going to do it. Now, your perception of how I do my job, that's another thing. But yes, women should be paid the same. And if you take, there were oppositions about, well, she's in a male jail, she can't do certain things. I can assure you that I have done everything that any male correction officer has done, with the exception of search a male inmate alone, because if need be, I would have done that as well.
Right, well,
Like a body search is what I'm talking about.
I
I have
understand.
searched a male, but not like have him strip search in front of me without a male officer.
okay. Well, regardless, I mean, whether you're male or
Female.
when you're, packing a gun, I don't think it really matters
Oh,
to
no,
the other
dear.
person looking at you.
There are no guns
Because-
in the jails.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure. So, when you say that the title of your book that you're presently writing
You're right.
is called Never, and you're
It will be out
referring-
soon.
Oh, when will it be out?
I'm trying to get it out before the midterm elections.
Oh, okay. Well, that would be excellent, wouldn't it?
Yes.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yes.
Okay. And so you're done writing, and who's publishing? Do you have a
I'm
publisher?
going to self-publish.
Oh, okay.
So I am going to have it available to people ASAP, because I think it's important that we start to think about what we're doing here in America.
Well, I mean, it's a big deal. The climate of the country in general, it's very divisive. No matter what party you are, it doesn't matter. I have friends that are Republicans that are aghast, that are women, that cannot believe the divisions that are going on, because Democrat, Republican, progressive, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we just want to be treated equally. It doesn't seem like too much to ask.
Right. And it has nothing to do with, Republicans, Democrats. We're people. We're humans first.
Right.
And I think that it's time America stood up and said, listen, this is not good. This is not right for our country.
Right.
We are the land of opportunity.
So in the messaging of your book, what is it exactly that you are, yes, you're also a teacher, so I presume you're teaching something, or you're trying to get a
Yes.
message out there. What is it?
I want America to wake up and be decent. That's the message I want to get out there. And I don't want to tell too much about the book, because I want everybody to read it.
Well, of course, I mean, you don't want to give full details, but certainly you want us to be
Intrigued?
Yes, intrigued. That's
Yes,
perfect
I do.
word. Yes.
I think that you'll find a lot of intrigue in the characters that I've chosen and how they're drawn. So I have been listening to the social climate and what's going on with women and men, and most recently with security clearances.
Oh, yes, that's right. Actually, that's been going on. That President Trump recently, actually yesterday, which just took back the security clearance of Clapper, right? And is about to take away security clearances
Brennan.
of. It was
Yeah,
Brennan,
Brennan,
not
it was
Clapper.
Brennan, yeah.
But I think Clapper said
Yes,
that he was next.
Well, there's a list.
Okay, there is a list.
There is a list.
So,
And we gotta be very careful, because I feel like it's a 2-year-old having a tantrum. We need these people. before we can move forward with any type of protection of this country, we need all the intelligence from the past to push us into the future. And I think he is trying to limit himself somehow by doing this.
Well, as a correctional officer and having had the discipline and the knowledge of how important it is to gather information and to level the playing field so that we can protect ourselves, our children, boys and girls, we don't care what party you're from, you're our children. We must be able to have the best intelligence possible.
America can be so much stronger if we utilize all our resources. But I want you to think of it as a tree. As a tree grows, it develops different branches, and the branches go in every direction. By cutting brenning off, it's like cutting off a full arm of the tree. And I think that's a hindrance. That's not a help.
That's correct. And I also, everything is related to everything else because, we're talking about people on high echelon, security clearances, Washington, D.C. We're also talking about women in the Me Too movement, teachers, mothers, retail people. It doesn't matter, no matter where it is. At the end of the day, it's about equal opportunity. It's about equal pay, economics, being able to support our families, equality on every level. Because as women in the Me Too movement, the whole aspect of the Me Too movement is if you're a woman and you're working in a environment where it is male dominated and there's authority over you, you have to deal with that, and you have to be very careful.
You do have to be careful, but I can say with all honesty that we have, for the most part, we go into the jails and we do our best, so what we consider our best. And you're always going to have a handful that will play jokes on you, that will put you in a situation that could possibly harm you or an inmate. And it's all funny until something happens.
So you're talking about being sabotaged?
Yes, absolutely. I can recall my second week on the job. Someone called me on the in-house phone and says to me, Hudson, it's time to send the inmates out for rowing on the Hudson. This was 3:00 in the morning.
Oh my.
Rowing on the Hudson. Now, Rikers
which we didn't mention. You worked in Rikers Island.
Yes,
oh
I was. I worked on Rikers Island. I've worked in almost every jail. And when I became an investigator, I was also in and out of the jails, in and out of almost every precinct. I did the gamut. And my life has been so interesting. And the people that I've met over the years they've helped shape me into the woman that I am today.
So getting back to your story at Rikers Island where you're called...
Yes, so they tell me to send the inmates out for rowing on the Hudson. And so had I not been the person that I was, I mean, it's common sense. Mm-hmm. I'm like, okay, this is a joke. Hung up the phone and
ignored it.
Ignored it.
Okay.
But there have been instances where young females come on the job and they could be working in what's called an MO ward in any jail. They had sections for people who were mentally observed. And I recall one instance where there was someone working and they called them and they told them to run out the MOs for breakfast. And this must have been about 4:00 in the morning. So the person actually opened the door and let all of them out.
So these
So
were
we
people
had-
with mental
Yes, we had
issues.
MOs roaming everywhere in the
Oh,
jail.
my goodness.
And it took, I mean, we had to actually lock down and get everybody back into the right housing area before we could move on with the day.
Did she get in trouble? Do you remember if she got in trouble?
I'm not sure that there were any
Repercussions?
punitive,
Okay.
right. I don't think, because after talking to someone who's brand new on the job and you say to them, listen, someone called me. I mean, it was easy to tell if someone had called the person. I don't know if there was any punitive damage done there, but it happened.
But
And it's
certainly-
happened more than once.
Yes, and it happens all the time.
Yes.
Of course, it's happened to me as well. Sabotaged on the job. Men resenting me because I worked in, let's say, the car business at one point of my life, which is also a male-dominated field. It wasn't easy. You had to really work harder, in fact.
Especially if you're an attractive female,
Right.
because
right.
they expect you to come on the job as like a damsel in distress and for someone to do everything for them. No.
So recently there was right out here on Long Island, there was a big march with Me Too. There was one in the city. I went to the one in Manhattan. There were hundreds and thousands of women with their husbands, their fathers, their sons, their daughters, and it was just amazing. And these were marches across the United States of America. So, what do you think? What's going to happen?
Well, I would love to see good things happen from this, but on the other side of the coin, you have some folks that will take advantage of this situation, and unfortunately, the one or two that does that will bring bad things to others.
Yeah, well,
And
there's
that's
always going to be a couple of bad apples.
Yes,
There's no doubt about it.
but I feel good about the movement.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
I feel good about the movement. I think that women are stronger than they've ever been. And they've been holding it down for a very long time now. Because you got to think of it like this. There's a lot of men in jail. A lot. And for every household that's missing a man, there's a woman running it.
That's
Just to
true.
show you
That's
how
right.
strong our women, all women, have been over the years.
Absolutely, there's no question about it. Actually, it's a well-known fact at this point that the majority of the inhabitants of our jail systems are, people of color, and it is actually quite terrible what's been going on, and I hope an end will come to this finally at some point, although the environment at the moment doesn't seem to be such, but we have to keep on moving forward. So now with your book and teaching and all these things that you're also involved in, is there anything else you're involved with?
I'm an artist.
Oh, you're also an artist, okay.
I do a lot of art projects and do some paint nights for people. It's rewarding,
Okay.
and that's how I
That's how
kind
you
of chill out. That's
calm
my
it down a
yes,
little bit.
it is.
Okay. Well, I have to say it's been very interesting speaking with you and Ms. Serrano. And the name of your book once again? Well, it's okay. You could say it in English, and then we'll
It's never.
Never. Okay.
Yes.
Well, it was a pleasure. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us here at Heels of Justice. We hope to see you again.